Hello, welcome to a brand new video. So in this video I'm going to be talking about my worst to best regeneration stories of the Doctor. So in this list I will not be adding the War Doctor's regeneration because it's not a proper regeneration story. I'm literally just going to be talking about the main regeneration stories such as the 10th Planet, the War Games, Planet of the Spiders, Legopolis, Case of Andromeda, Time in Irani, because it is classed as a regeneration story because it regenerates at the beginning, the TV movie, Point of the Ways, The End of Time, the Doctor, Time of the Doctor, and Twice Upon a Time. So they're the only ones I will be talking from worst to best. So please sit down, have a cup of tea with some jelly babies, and I will tell you what's my least favourite to the best regeneration story of the Doctor. So in the least place of favourite regeneration stories, I have to say it's got to be The End of Time. The End of Time I don't like. The End of Time, I think part one of The End of Time built up on so much, and then when part two aired, it's kind of dropped a lot. Now, I used to like The End of Time. I really did used to like it when it first broadcast back in 2010, the 1st of January. But over the last 10 years, it's gone down to the least favourite because of certain aspects of it. I don't like how the Master was resurrected and become a skull with the lightning abilities, and having the lightning to make him fly and make him go around eating humans, and it's just not really a good Time Lord thing, really. Yeah, okay, the Master is a bit insane. He does go around killing people, but he doesn't go around eating people. I get that his resurrection went wrong, but it's still a bit daft, really, and the Time Lords are just there for no reason. They had a whole point where it goes, the Time Lords return, and basically it was just them trying to use the Master with the 4 knocks in his head to try and get away back into this universe. Well, back up the time lock, really. It's just not a very good Doctor Who kind of regeneration story. Tennant's performance in this is good, but it doesn't save the story from sucking. Really, really bad. Really, really bad. I really don't like The End of Time. I'm sorry to all you Tennant fans, and you all like The End of Time, but for me, The End of Time is literally the worst. Next up, it is the time on the Irani. Now, this one, you could say it's not really classed as a regeneration story because he does regenerate from the beginning, but when you look at the regeneration box there, it is classed as a regeneration story. So I'm going to class it as a regeneration story because at the beginning of it, you got the TARDIS being pulled down to the planet Lacursha, which is obviously the Irani bringing the Doctor to her. The Doctor bangs his head on the TARDIS console while trying to pilot the TARDIS back to his normal control, but instead he ends up banging his head and then ends up regenerating, or so we thought. But basically, this regeneration, it's just Colin Baker wearing the Sylvester McCoy wearing Colin Baker's outfit with the blonde wig, just him regenerating. So basically, the regeneration is literally McCoy regenerating into McCoy. And this is all because Colin Baker would not have come back to do his regeneration filming. I really wish he would, because it would have been good, because if they could have done it one way, and for the way I actually read somewhere, I think I've read it in the book ages ago, Colin Baker was actually supposed to come back full time in the Irani and regenerate at the end of the episode for season 24. So the very first opening would have had him fighting with the Irani, him getting injured, and then regenerate straight into Sylvester McCoy. But because Colin Baker said no, he wouldn't come back to the regeneration, so they had to put Sylvester McCoy in a wig and a coat and film the regeneration, which I really think Colin Baker is gutted that he didn't do. But Big Finish has picked up on this and literally just released it on in a big book sort of thing called the Six Doctors Last Adventure. Last Adventures, and I've actually got that on Big Finish form, and that is lovely, and it leads straight into the Time of Irani, which is brilliant. So, coming up next, you find out in a bit. So, next up, it is the Night of the Doctor. So, 50th anniversary comes along, we've got specials coming out, we've got the Time of the Doctor, we've got Day of the Doctor. So Night of the Doctor is the one chance we have Paul McGann back as the Doctor on screen, and it's good. It's good. Paul McGann, I really wish they would have brought Paul McGann back to when the show restarted and continue off where the TV movie left off, really. That would have been a good opportunity. But there again, though, we wouldn't have Heckelson. But anyway, this is an amazing Doctor Who mini episode for Paul McGann to come back. And then he does his regeneration into the War Doctor, John Hurt. And my God, it's good. He's trying to save a human Cass who knows about the Time War. He ends up dying in the Doctor who's trying to save her, getting back to the TARDIS. And he ends up dying himself, and he has 8 minutes to live. So he ends up drinking the potion of elixir of life, and he turns into the War Doctor. This is just a brilliant opportunity. I really wished that this would have been a full episode, not a 6-minute thing. I do wish they could have made an actual episode, a special episode to the Paul McGann's Doctor. I really wish they would have done that, or a little mini series to lead into the story. I really would hope they would do that. Coming up next, so straight up next, it is the 10th Planet. Now this is a biggie because it's William Hartnell's last story. This is the first story of a regeneration story, and of course it's the very first story of the Cybermen. And it's a brilliant story. It's a brilliant Doctor Who story. It's not in the top 5 at the moment. Well, it's not really in the top 5. It's in the lower part, but it's still quite good. I do love this story. It's amazing to sit down and watch the very first regeneration happening. Unfortunately, part 4 is still missing, but the BBC have animated it for us, so on the DVD range. So at least we've got the first Doctor's regeneration story complete, sort of. And it's really good. I like how he goes into ties and collapse, and of course, Twice Upon a Time picks up a bit on this. So the first Doctor has 2 kind of like last stories, the 10th Planet and Twice Upon a Time. Well, it's a very complicated. It's a really good story. I do love the 10th Planet. It's brilliant. The Cybermen are brilliant. Hartnell, in this story, you can tell Hartnell's really ill. You can tell he's really ill, and in certain scenes, like the animation although you can't see it in the animation version, but it's still quite good. It's really good. 10th Planet is literally a really good regeneration story, but not really the best. So next up, it is the Time of the Doctor. Matt Smith's regeneration story. Not really much can I say about this one, because I kind of feel that the Timeless Children have kind of retconned it a bit, because there's no point for the Doctor getting extra regenerations on Trenzalore, really. It's a bit of a retcon now since Chris Chill took over, but it's still a good story. You got every feeling of the Doctor's returning. You've got the big regeneration scene when the Times give him extra regenerations. You've got him blowing up the whole Dalek battle fleet, and of course you've got the main regeneration where he says, "I will always remember when the Doctor was me." And it's just such a good story. Jenna Coleman is brilliant as Clara in this. I love the ending though with Peter Capaldi where he goes, "Kidneys, I've got new kidneys. I don't like the colour." And he goes, do you know how to fly this thing? It's just such a good regeneration story. And it's just brilliant. And it's literally one of the best ones for the new era. We're getting there slowly for the I mean, we've only got 2 left for the modern era, really, with Twice Upon a Time and Parting of the Ways, so you have to find out what ones come up next, won't you? So, yep. So next up, it is Twice Upon a Time. Now, this one is a doozy. I do like this one. I really do like this one. So, we got the return of the first Doctor, this time played by David Bradley, because William Hartnell passed away back in 1975. Put Peter Capaldi as the 12th Doctor's brilliant. This is 2 Doctors kind of leading into their regeneration sort of thing. And it's a bit good though, because the first Doctor regenerates after battling the Cybermen, the 12th Doctor regenerates after battling the Cybermen. it's just a good opportunity, really. It's a good story. And of course, where you got the 12th Doctor do the big regeneration, you got the TARDIS explode, like kind of about to explode. You got Jodie Whittaker with Capaldi's ring falls off her finger, and then you got the TARDIS throwing her out into Sheffield, leading into series 11. But this regeneration story is quite good. You got Return of Roster, you got Daleks, and of course you got the First Doctor, and of course you got the Brigadier's great granddad, I think it is, played by Mark Gatiss. It is just such a brilliant Doctor Who story. It's one of the best ones for modern Who. Literally one of the best ones for modern Who. It's not the best because the best is still coming up, but it's literally the second best for modern Who. And it's just such a good regeneration story. And Peter Capaldi is my third favourite Doctor. So my third favourite Doctor with my seventh favourite Doctor is just brilliant. And the regeneration scenes for both Doctors. I like the bit where they go to the, like, well, 1914 with the Germans playing football, and you got the First Doctor walking into his TARDIS, and then you get the little clips from the, you know, the 10th planet where he regenerates into Patrick Troughton's Doctor. But it's still a good regeneration story. Capaldi is brilliant in this. His performance is top notch. This is why I love series 10, his last season series. It's just so brilliant. His regeneration is amazing in this. So yeah. So next up, it is the TV movie. Now, part of you can see, even though the regeneration does take place halfway through the film, well, I think it's like 20 minutes into the film, where you get Cersei McCoy being shot by street gangs after the essence of the Master breaks free in the TARDIS and makes it land on Earth. The 7th Doctor is good. I like his costume. I really do like his costume. I think I've got it. Yeah, I have. Look, he's there. Where is he? There. That's a little bit of the TV movie in the figure form. And it's just such a good regeneration story. It's him on his final hours, as in his 7th incarnation, gets shot by a human. Human doctors try to save him. Unfortunately, the anaesthetic does kill him off, and it nearly destroyed the regeneration process. Well, so he says, but with Chibnall making the timeless children in children, it kind of made the Doctor more, basically immortal, technically. You can't kill the Doctor, you can just regenerate now. He's immortal because he's the one that started off the regeneration cycle. So yeah, so anyway, the TV movie is brilliant. I love the TV movie. It's just such a brilliant story. It's such a shame that the 8th Doctor, Paul McGann, didn't stay all the way through, because this actually was supposed to be a pilot and then it leads into a series, but it never happened. And this again is just such a big, good, absolutely film. I love it. Paul McGann is top notch on the Doctor. Cersei McCoy is brilliant, and it fills in that gap because the 11th Doctor was last seen in Survival, and then you have him like 9 years later back in the role and doing his regeneration scene. It's the way they should have done it. I really think they should have done this for series 1, really, having Paul McGann regenerate into Christopher Eccleston. Really, it's a really good film. It's a really good film, and it's literally amazing. It's good, but it's not in my top 5. So next up, it is Parting of the Ways. Now, this is a good series finale. It's a brilliant one. You've got Daleks, you've got the Doctor sending Rose back, you've got her sub in the Time Vortex, you've got deaths in this, you've got a big, massive... There's a load of multiple deaths in this. You've got Linda Moss. Captain Jack dies, but he gets brought back to life by Rose. And you get half of the characters die as well in this. Nearly everybody in the whole space station and Satellite 5 do die in this story. It's just such a good one with the big consequences. The Doctor tries to build a Delta Wave, and he absorbs to save Rose Tyler. He absorbs the Time Vortex, and it leads into him regenerating. He has a good farewell speech, really, in this story, and it just leads into a brilliant regeneration story. It's just so fantastic and amazing and brilliant. This is in 5th place. This is the only modern series you will ever see for a regeneration story on my top 5. This is the only one you would actually ever say in my top 5, and we are in my top 5 now, and this is in 5th place. We've got 4 more stories to talk about, and it's just such an amazing opportunity. This story is literally amazing for modern era, and it's such a shame you go straight from this one straight down to The End of Time, which is a really shitter of a story. I'm sorry, but I really don't like The End of Time. The End of Time I really don't like. I find The End of Time really boring. and a bit dull and a bit stupid, and I just don't like the end of time at all. Time of the Doctor is back up in the list, for, as you hear me mention, for the modern era and Twice Upon a Time as well. But this is the amazing regeneration story, and this is where they did it top notch straight away at the end of series 1. It's just so fantastic. So coming up in 4th place, you will find out what that is. So next up, it is Legopolis. Now, Legopolis is my 4th favourite story. Tom Baker is my first ever favourite Doctor of all time. This story is just brilliant. You've got the 4th Doctor, you've got the Master, you've got the Watcher, you've got Adric, Nis and Tegan. You are on an alien planet called Legopolis. You're on Earth at the Pharos Institute. The 4th Doctor sacrifices himself to save the universe from the Master, and he falls down. And then you have that little image with all the villains, because you have a Cyberman, you have Dalek, you have Davros, you have the Saigon, you have a Santaran, you have the Black Guardian, and it's just such good. And then when he falls down to his ground, you have all the companions such as Sarah Jane, Harry Sullivan, the Brigadier, Leela, K9 Mark 1, K9 Mark 2, Romana 1, Romana 2, and Adric. You hear Adric's voice. It's just such a good end of the way to a perfect era of the 4th Doctor. The 4th Doctor will always be my first favourite Doctor. Always will be my very first favourite Doctor of all time. Legopolis, it might be a bit depressing in some parts and a bit down, but it's still an upbeat, especially it's still amazing. I love the Anthony Ainley's version of the Master battling with the 4th Doctor. It's just such a good story. Now, Anthony Ainley is the one that encounters 4 incarnations of the Doctor. Well, technically he encounters all of the incarnations of the Doctor if you include the 5 Doctors in this, with the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th. He encounters the 4th Doctor first, then he goes to 5th, 6th, 7th, and then for the 5th Doctor era, you got the first 3 Doctors. It's just such a good story. This is just an amazing Doctor Who finale for Tom Baker. Now, Tom Baker is the biggest one that kept the show going, and he's in the show for 7 years. 7 long, amazing years as him as the Doctor. Just think of how many stories he's done, how many episodes he's done. I think he's done about 178, really. And it all exists on DVD and Blu-ray, DVD, some on Blu-ray and VHS range, which I'm also collecting. Tom Baker is just such an amazing Doctor. I have got one of his scarves. His regeneration story is 4th place because nothing can beat the other 3, and I think you might know which ones are. So next up in 3rd place, it is the 3rd Doctor's last ever story, and it is Planet of the Spiders. Now, you're on Earth for parts 1 to 4, and then you got 5 and 6 on Metebelis 3. You got a big giant spiders. You got spiders that can talk and jump onto people's backs. If you're a bit scared of spiders like my mum is, this is not a very good Doctor Who story to watch with spiders in it, because at the end of part 6 you have this big giant Metebelis spider that absorbs all the crystals, because it wants the crystal that the 3rd Doctor stole in way back in the season before in the Green Death. It is just such an amazing episode. You've got such good characters such as Lytton. You've got Chanvo, something like that. No. You even got a Time Lord in there who has retired and become like a kind of bishop sort of thing, and he regenerates into one of the characters that were there, and it helps him push the Doctor's regeneration cycle forwards. The 3rd Doctor dies in this by absorbing radiation from the Metebelis crystals. It nearly destroys his body. He gets lost in the time vortex. The TARDIS brings him back, and he collapses at Unit HQ, ending his era really, really well. And it's just brilliant that you got and for the first time ever, the Brigadier sees the Doctor regenerating, and he goes, "Well, here we go again." It's just such a perfect regeneration story. Planet of the Spiders is literally my 3rd favourite, and it will always will be. I watched this one. This was actually my very 3rd ever Doctor Who story I ever watched on VHS, because my dad used to buy them and own them, and I remember watching this with him on VHS, and it's just such an amazing opportunity. This is an amazing Doctor Who 6-part story. Planet of the Spiders is literally amazing, and I love it. I really do love it. And the 3rd Doctor wears 2 costumes in this. He wears his one from the 3 Doctors, and then he changes it into the one he regenerates in. It's just such a brilliant Doctor Who episode. It's such a brilliant episode at all times. An all-time favourite story. Planet of Spiders is the bomb. It's literally a bomb. And it is absolutely amazing. And I love it all the way through. So next up, if anybody knows me, of course, it is the War Games. Patrick Troughton's last ever, well, not his last ever story, because he does appear in the show three more times after this one. But this is his last regeneration story. You have him trying to stop what anyways called the Warlords. This is the very first introduction to the Time Lords. The Time Lords exiled the Doctor and forced him to regenerate, leading into the third Doctor's era. It's just a brilliant one. And of course, this one is 10 parts long. It's just such a good finale. It's got consequences. You got loads of different time zones. You got the Roman time zone. You got the World One time zone. You just got loads of other time zones as well. You got a Mexican timeline, war zone. Zoe and Jamie's departure with the Doctor is great, really good as well, because they're trying to persuade the Doctor to run away from the Time Lords, to run back to the TARDIS. But of course, the Time Lords know what they were doing, and the Doctor sends him on his way. And unfortunately, the Time Lords make him forget the Doctor. Not his very first event, not their very first adventure, but they make him forget all the other adventures they've had with him while they send him back into their own times. This is just another superb regeneration story. And the Time Lords are really big, massive idiots in this. Although they send the Doctors back to Earth to help protect the Earth from other alien invaders, that's going to happen in the third Doctor's era. But you have him, they literally put him on trial. He explains himself. I do love him on trial. The way he stands up to the Time Lords, he goes, "While you have been here observing the evil in the galaxy, I have been fighting against it." Then he mentions the Quarks, Ice Warriors, Cybermen, Daleks, and of course anything else from the Troughton era. It's just such a brilliant, superb story. And the way the Doctor tries to stand up against the Time Lords, he tries to fight for his freedom, and the Time Lords literally just go, "No, that's it. We're making you change your appearance, and we're exiling you to Earth." I do love the bit with the faces though. He goes, "Here's your first choice." He goes, "Oh, he's too old." "No, that one's too fat, ain't he?" "No, he's too thin." "That one's too young." "Oh, no, that won't do at all. This is ridiculous." And you go, and I literally just love how he says at the time, he goes, "You're wasting time, Doctor." He goes, "What?" And he literally just says, "I've never seen such an incredible bunch." And it's literally just away. And then instead of him carrying on with that introduction, it's literally, you got Troughton's face being split into 4 different ways. And he goes, "What's happening?" He goes, "The time has come for you to change your appearance, Doctor, and to begin your exile." And then you have Troughton's face just disappearing into the darkness, and no face, you see the body. It's just such a really great introduction to the Time Lords. It's a good regeneration story of all time, and it is literally just amazing and fantastic and brilliant all the way through. So coming up next, my all-time favourite. If anyone who knows me, they know what this one will be. So number 1, what is my all-time favourite regeneration story? Do you have to know? It is the Case of Andromeda. Now that is my all-time favourite one. You got bigger consequences. Perry nearly dies due to spectrotoxemia. You got a space gang here trying to get hold of some drugs, which is spectrotoxemia, that tries to kill him off. You got the cure, which is only bat's milk. The 5th Doctor gets infected by the it's called spectrotoxemia. It is just such a good regeneration story. The big consequences, you got him trying to save another bit in at the end of part 3 and into part 4, where he's literally in the spaceship and he's literally saying, you might need to find somewhere for him to hang on to. He goes, "I murdered you, Doctor." And then goes, "Unless I save my friend, I've got her into this, so you see, I'm not going to let you stop me now." And it literally just ends into the credits. It's just such a brilliant 1980 story. Case of Andromeda is top notch. Peter Davison gives his best performance in this. Nicola Bryant is brilliant as Perry in this. You've got Sirius Jack. You've literally got brilliant ideas in this story. It's all fantastic, it's brilliant, and it's amazing. It's my all-time favourite regeneration story ever. So the Case of Andromeda is absolutely top-notch. And then you got the good regeneration effect at the end of it, where he goes, I might regenerate, I don't know, feels different this time. And then of course you got some of the past faces, such as Tegan, Tarlo, Nissa, Chameleon, and Adric. And of course the Master's face shows up, trying to convince the Doctor to stay alive because he is still evil out there, he needs to fight. And it's just such a good regeneration story. And Colin Baker, I have to say, he's really good. I like his lines though, where she goes, Doctor, I that's 3 eyes and 1 breath, even a stick for you, young lady. What happened? Change, my dear, and it seems not a moment too soon. It's just such a great finale for any Doctor, and it's just a brilliant, brilliant regeneration story of all time. It would always be my top 5 regeneration stories of amazingly done. So this is my favourite regeneration stories of all time, from worst to best. So please do like, subscribe, and share to me channel, and let me know in the comments what your favourite regeneration stories are. Would you include the War Doctor's regeneration story in this, even though it's literally just a scene in Day of the Doctor? So please do like, subscribe, and share, and please comment in the video so we can have a good discussion about your favourite regeneration stories. And I hope you all have an amazing day and just carry on being fantastic Who fans.